This is the Farm Monitor. For over 50 years, your source for agribusiness news and features from around the Southeast and across the country, focusing on one of the nation's top industries, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by one of the largest general farm organizations, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now here are your hosts, Ray DeLessio and Kenny Bergamy.
Well, I can't believe I'm saying this, but season's greetings.
Wow.
Already? Really? Hope life is treating you well and that you're looking forward to Thanksgiving as much as we are. Welcome to the Farm Monitor. Official introductions. I am Ray.
And I am Kenny. Normally, we don't like talking politics, but today we're making a minor exception. Straight ahead, what is redistricting, who will it affect, and could rural Georgia find itself on the outside looking in? We hope to answer at least some of those questions for you. All that rain we had last month made life difficult for a lot of producers, including soybean growers, but all was not lost. In fact, there's talk of some pretty good gains for soybeans. Definitely don't want to miss that. Plus,
well, hey everybody, Ranger Nick. Coming up a little bit later, I'm hanging out on the campus of the University of Georgia this month, and as the seasons change, I'm going to introduce you to some experts that are studying how plants can help us make sure we're feeling great. You won't believe what I'm going to tell you. That and a whole lot more starts right now on the Farm Monitor.
in the last few years, rural Georgia has seen its share of struggles due to people migrating to more urban areas. And now that it's time to redraw state legislative districts, there's ongoing concern and questions about the fate of political influence in those rural areas. But as John Holcomb reports, for those who choose to stay in rural Georgia, they need not worry.
In Atlanta, legislators are gathering under the Gold Dome for a special session that happens once every decade, a special session that's known as redistricting and will determine congressional, state Senate, and state House districts for the next 10 years.
Redistricting is the process that follows every 10 years after the year of the census. So, for example, this year we had the census of 2020, which was delayed some of the information that came in. But the year following every census, all the states go through a redistricting process, and it's really done on two levels. First of all, you have the reapportionment side, which is taking the total population of all the states so that the 435 congressional seats are divided appropriately among the states. Georgia stayed the same this year. We had 14 congressional districts before the redrawing of what will be the redrawing of the maps, and we're going to maintain it 14 after that. But the population changes within the state means that the House of Representatives districts need to be changed and the Senate districts need to be redrawn so that at the end of that process, everybody's Senate district is about the same size.
During the special session, both chambers must agree on the final product, which is based on information from the census, and as you would imagine, is no simple task trying to put population data to a map.
It's a complex process. It is numbers driven by population, and then of course the maps that we draw we have to make sure are compliant with the Georgia Constitution, the United States Constitution, the Voting Rights Act, and other laws to make sure that they would withstand any scrutiny that might be applied by the courts.
If you take a look at the maps of the districts before the session and what's proposed, you will notice a shift towards Atlanta. That's of course due to Georgia's population growing and from the shift from rural to urban areas.
One of the things that we've seen with the data from the Census Bureau is that in fact we had a lot of folks seemingly either move out of rural Georgia or we've had very little growth in rural Georgia. A lot of the 1 million people that have moved to Georgia in the last 10 years seem to have certainly been in the metro Atlanta area and some of the smaller city areas.
In the end, though, despite how many districts are around bigger cities, the process is designed to make sure all citizens, whether they're in rural or urban areas, are represented fairly and equally, both at the state and federal levels.
At the end of the day, every Senate district and every House district will represent approximately the same number of people, just as the congressional maps, once they're finished, will represent the same number of people. And it goes back and it ensures one of the core values that's based in our democracy and in our country of one person, one vote, and that everyone is represented fairly and equally. So if we didn't have this process, you would have some districts that had much fewer people than another district, but each represented by one senator. And so you would have less representation in the more heavily populated areas in effect.
Reporting in Atlanta for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
Well, you may have noticed a slight dip in soybean prices lately, but the good news, they are still more than 40% higher than this time last year, which is even better news for growers who are in the middle of harvesting after getting off to a slow start. Damon Jones reports from Elbert County on the reason for the delays and how this year's crop is shaping up.
While soybeans might be king in the Midwest, there are still plenty also being grown right here in Georgia, as more than 100,000 acres were planted last year. And with demand on the rise, further reinforced by the record export numbers as well as strong commodity prices, having a good harvest is more important than ever. And so far, things appear to be promising.
It's looking good. It's averaging anywhere from 30 to 60 bushels to the acre, so it's doing good. Priority is to get done, get as much done as we can before the rain comes back.
This despite having an unusually wet growing season with more than 10 inches of rain falling in October. And while all that precipitation did provide some benefit to the farmers, considering soybeans require plenty of water in order to maximize their yield, it also created a number of obstacles the growers were forced to overcome.
You couldn't get in the field when you needed to. If you needed to spray, or you had some seed that didn't come up, you couldn't get in there to do anything with it. It was just hectic, just trying to work around it. But thank God for it.
Not being able to get out into their field for the majority of the season obviously made maintaining it quite a chore. With a limited number of days for maintenance, weeds and pests were a clear concern for the growers. However, thanks to creative scheduling and plenty of hard work, those turned out not to be a huge problem.
It was, the growing season was different. It was a little wet, a lot more rain than we're used to getting, but the growing season went pretty good. I mean, it's, besides the weeds and stuff, just getting it to come up through all the rain, fertilized, sprayed, it's all worked out good.
Those wet conditions have persisted into the early harvest season as well, which pushed back the timetable for growers. And while getting the beans out of the field as soon as possible is now the priority, that small delay to their harvesting shouldn't have any impact on the quality of the beans.
It has. It's put us back probably a week and a half, 2 weeks. I think it's about what it's pushed us back so far. It shouldn't affect the beans. Right now, what we're cutting, there's no damage in them. I mean, the test weight's good, so it's really doing good.
Reporting from Elbert County, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
Well, hey everybody, Ranger Nick, whether it's stevia or cotton or some medicinal plant, I'll introduce you to some researchers at UGA who are studying how these plants can help you in your farm or home garden after the break.
Impressive building. Well, speaking of impressive, Ranger Nick, as a longtime professor at UGA, he is well versed in a lot of things, insects, snakes, even plants. And although you won't see him switch to a plant-based diet anytime soon, this month he is teaching us about the benefits of plants and how they can improve our health and the health of students on the campus of UGA. Best of all, It's right at their fingertips.
Well, would you believe we're on the campus of the University of Georgia? And this month I'm hanging out with a colleague, Dr. Jim Affolter. Good to see you, Doc.
Good to see you, Nick.
You know, we're here on campus in the Latin American Ethnobotanical Garden, right here in the central part of campus, and we're studying together with students on this campus, with professors like this, the benefits that plants can provide from a medicinal standpoint. Now, Doc, what makes a plant medicinal in the first place, if you're interested in home and trying some of this?
Good question. 99% of the time, Nick, it's the chemistry of the plant. You know, it's the chemicals they contain. There are some plants we value, you know, because of their texture, maybe as bandages, something like that, maybe for fiber. But basically, it's usually the chemistry. And some people wonder, you know, are herbal medicines, do they really work? Are they really effective, or is it just kind of folk medicine? And we'll think of things like morphine, codeine, caffeine, cocaine. These are all chemicals that come from plants, and believe me, they have powerful therapeutic effects. And it's been estimated that about 40% of the prescription medicines in the United States have some plant origin.
Really?
Either directly from a plant, or they're based on some molecule inside of a plant. So usually it's the chemistry. So they can be involved in flowers, for example, and nectar, and attracting pollinators, and fruits and attracting dispersers. Certainly many of them, a lot of the ones we use medicinally for, say, their antimicrobial activities, are there to repel predators. So they're actually antibacterial compounds the plants are producing, and we take advantage of those properties for ourselves.
You mentioned the caffeine element, the other therapeutic elements. People get on me about caffeine sometimes. I swear it's not really a true thing. But I'll tell you, what I want to do now is I want to go through this garden and I want to try some of these things. I want to see how these components in these plants might work to benefit us, and I want to take the folks at home there now. So let's do that. All right, well, it's time for some snacking now. I'm over here at this stevia plant, and I want to take off those leaves, that sweetness right there, that sugary sweetness. And Paul Duncan is here with me. Paul, Associate Director of Latin American Studies Program at UGA. I'm eating up your teaching tools.
That's okay.
Talk to me about this, guys. This sugary sweetness, how can this benefit us?
Well, I mean, this garden exists here at UGA to teach people about the innumerable number of plants from Latin America that all of us take for granted, but that are all throughout the country. And one of them is stevia, and stevia is used as a sweetener. It's been used by the Guarani in Paraguay, and indigenous people from Paraguay, for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And so, of course, now stevia is found all over the world as a natural sweetener.
So I can just put that in my coffee or tea, and people do that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful addition to a coffee cup.
So I'm all sweetened up now. What do we got right here? How can this potentially help me?
All right, so this is a perennial marigold. Okay. This is called Tagetes lucida. Okay. It's called pericon in Mexico. The really cool thing about this, for any of you folks from the southeast or Georgia, it's a perennial. It comes back every year, dies to the ground and comes back. This plant, if you've tasted it already or smelled it, has a very strong black licorice sort of scent. And this is used in Mexico and Central America for stomach issues. So sort of like chamomile, when you have an upset stomach, this plant will actually kill stomach microbes that can cause you to have to run to the bathroom when you don't necessarily want to. But it's a wonderful plant that actually helps us medicinally.
Wonderful. I feel better. I'm sweetened up. My stomach's feeling great. I'm over here now. How can some of these plants help me?
All right, so this is hibiscus. Hibiscus is actually not native to Latin America, but because of the Columbian Exchange, where plants from the Old World went to the New World and vice versa, everybody in Mexico and Central America thinks it's from Latin America. But this plant is absolutely wonderful. They make a tea out of it. Called Rosa de Jamaica.
I've heard of that.
And it has all kinds of uses beyond that. It's used for high blood pressure. It's loaded with vitamin C. It's a very cool plant.
And what part? Is it the buds or the leaf? How are they using it?
And so if you get up close enough, you can't quite see them yet, but that's the flower coming out.
Okay.
And it's the calyx, or the base of the flower, that's used to make the tea.
Well, I got my mouth cleared out now and I can talk to you. You know, next time you're on campus, maybe going to a UGA football game, head on up the hill to East Campus in Baldwin and check this place out. You can hear the traffic all around me. Now, Doc, if the folks at home can't get to UGA and they're somewhere else in the country, what would you recommend they do to maybe start some of this in their backyard or on their farm?
Great question, and you know, that's one of the beauties of medicinal plants and herbal medicine, is that these are plants you can easily obtain and you can grow in your own garden. And frankly, a lot of them are better if you can harvest them and you use them fresh. You know, go out and collect some peppermint leaves and make a tea out of it. And you know, and honestly, that's one of the beauties, one of the great things about these plants, and what prompts people to try herbal medicine is that you can sort of self-medicate. You know, if you have problems that you just want to try a gentle medicine and see how it helps. It can even be things like back pain or indigestion. But these are plants you can grow in your garden. A lot of people don't realize that the basic culinary herbs, which are a lot of the first plants we think of in herb gardens, things like rosemary and peppermint and chamomile, those are all important herbal medicines as well as being culinary herbs. With a lot of benefits to the digestive system. A lot of those are tranquilizing type herbs. So you can start out with those things. You can easily obtain them from a box store or a local nursery, and easy to grow if you provide the right conditions. And then if you are interested in trying some more exotic things, even plants like we have here in this garden, contact your extension agent. That's always a great source. There
you go.
Absolutely. And then, of course, a lot of things are available on the internet these days. You can get living plants, you know, tremendous variety. So you can get as deeply into this as you want, and obviously a lot of the fun of it is growing them and getting to know the plants.
Absolutely, and how it works with yourself. Well, Doc, thanks so much for today. I so appreciate it. I learned a lot. I'm feeling even better now that I've eaten some of these things. Well, while you're online learning a little bit more about these, hop on over to the Farm Monitor Facebook page. Check that out. Check out the Ranger Nick Facebook page. See what I got going on. And until next time, as we always say, Doc, for the Farm Monitor, I'm Ranger Nick, reminding you, as I always do, that enthusiasm is contagious. So pass it on. Y'all, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you right back here again this time next month. See ya.
Well, don't forget, if you missed any part of Ranger Nick's segment or other features on today's program, you can still see them in their entirety at our YouTube channel, The Farm Monitor. Plenty of content and a variety of subjects to choose from. Best of all, the archive goes all the way back to 2009.
And while you're there, keep clicking and like the Farm Monitor Facebook page. Also, if you have a story idea or if you just want to leave us a comment or suggestion, send us a message either on Facebook or the address that is on your screen, that is news@farm-monitor.com. Up next, talk about a bright idea. The innovative company behind this light source says it's helping farmers grow by reducing cost and increasing efficiency.
Are turkeys really over-medicated?
On a real turkey farm like mine, you'll find the answers. Let me show you around. Come on inside. Proper nutrition, good ventilation, appropriate housing, and vaccination are just a few of the many ways that farmers raise healthy turkeys. As with any animal, turkeys can get sick and need help to get well. Because turkeys live in groups, they can expose others in the flock, so sometimes multiple animals must be treated to prevent the spread of disease. When necessary, veterinarians can prescribe treatment to help the birds get better and prevent animal suffering. Veterinarians are experts in animal health. They work closely with the farmer and follow the ethical guidelines of the veterinarian's oath, as well as professional guidance from the American Veterinary Medical Association and the American Association of Avian Pathologists. There are several safeguards in place to ensure turkeys treated with medication are safe to eat. Safeguards include veterinary oversight and carefully following mandatory withdrawal times. A withdrawal time is a time it takes for the medication to clear the animal's system so that the meat is safe to feed our families. Routine testing by USDA further ensures the safety of turkey meat. Farmers raise turkeys in a variety of different ways to meet consumer food preferences and to offer affordable prices. turkeys can be raised without the use of antibiotics and would then be labeled as never using antibiotics. However, in all cases, the requirement for passage of time before marketing always applies to every turkey. Tests confirm the meat is safe to feed your family.
Finally this week, with energy costs being the major expense for greenhouse owners, efficiency is vital in order for them to run a profitable operation.
It's a balancing act that one Georgia-based company is looking to help with by reducing the farmers' light cost. Damon Jones now with more from Clark County.
With the farm gate value approaching $500 million every year, greenhouses are one of Georgia's top commodities, growing a variety of fruits, vegetables, and ornamental plants. And one thing they all have in common is their reliance on having enough light for their crop, no matter the season. With energy costs on the rise, Candidas believes they can help farmers cut expenses.
Well, we are developing better tools for growers to provide the amount of supplemental light that they need to provide in their greenhouse to be able to produce crops year-round. Lighting in greenhouses is really expensive, and growers have relatively poor control over how much light they actually provide.
That's the issue this lighting system is hoping to alleviate, as it allows the growers to customize a daily schedule for their plants.
With our control system, we give growers very precise control over how they light their crops, and we make sure that they do not provide more light than what the crop actually needs to grow well. And that helps them save on electricity and increase profits. So what we typically see are energy savings of anywhere between 20 to 40%, and that's without any negative impact on the crops that they grow.
That type of efficiency is possible thanks to the technological advances in the bulbs being used.
When we think about LEDs, we think about the fact that they are much more efficient than old-fashioned technology. But on top of that, LEDs can be very precisely controlled. And that is something that traditionally the greenhouse industry hasn't taken advantage of.
Speaking of technology, Candidas has embraced the importance of being able to control everything remotely.
When you think about lighting in greenhouses, a grower's livelihood is on the line. So if they can simply pull out their phone and look at our app and see that things are working, they can be confident that the crop is growing the way it needs to grow.
As for what kind of crop this system will most benefit, its ability to be customized lends itself to a variety of different options.
We have used it with lettuce, for example, works fine. We're working with an herb grower, a lot of basil especially. Doesn't really matter because the system is so flexible that the grower can tweak all of the settings to make sure that we meet the needs of the crop that they are growing, whatever it is that they grow.
Now, just like any startup, the biggest challenge is getting farmers to give it a chance. It's why they are giving them some encouragement with a discounted trial period.
So the hard part is to get them to give it a try to begin with. So what we do now is for a low price, they get to install the system for 3 months, they can try it on a small scale, and they can see what the system can do for them.
Reporting from Clark County, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
Damon, thank you so much. Well, folks, before we send you on your way, friendly reminder that for all the latest ag news regarding food, delicious recipes, and what's happening out on Georgia farms, be sure you check out all of our social media platforms, including farm-monitor.com. You'll stay informed and you'll see what's up in the world of agriculture and with us here at the show. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time right here on the Farm Monitor.
As always, have a great week.